Howdy folks, Little John, and time to put together Extractaganza number, oh geez, I think we're up to batch number 8. Probably should have checked that before we got started. Let's have a look here. Yep, number 8. And this is the first of the bunch that comes to me courtesy of Reese Williams. And that's what we're doing, the Cooper's English Bitter. And just to be a little bit different to the standard what I'm normally doing, where I'm normally going through and putting in, you know, the one, the batch of malt, the batch of decks, and then splitting, you know, some decks, some malt. What Reese has done is he's actually sent me the recommended malts or brew enhancers with each of the kits he sent me. He sent me, I think it's 3 kits, and what goes with them. So I'm going to brew them. Well, the plan was to obviously to brew them with the ingredients that are there, but Little John, we can't just brew just a single batch on its own. Let's play around. So this fella can recommends for it to be brewed with 500 grams of Cooper's light dry malt, and it makes 23 litres. Now we've got the 500 gram box of light dry malt. Now, if you read the back here, it tells you that by using 500 grams, you'll get an alcohol by volume of 3.8%. Now, that's in the bottle after your bottle primed. So this is a bit on the light side. So I had tossed up, making it a little bit stronger, but 3.8's not terrible. It is a bit low, and when I put this through the spreadsheet, I use E&H's kit and extract spreadsheet. It's a great bit of gear if you haven't got it. You know, if you keep brewing and you haven't got it, look for it. Search for it. E&H kit and extract spreadsheet. It's available. You can get it. You can look for a download on the net. You can get it. I think Facebook, Aussie Home Brewers, Home Brewing Australia probably all got it pretty much linked up in the file section. You can also get it through AussieHomeBrewer.com forum. It's a great little bit of gear, but it told me that the volume was more like 3.4%. So looking at the style, that's quite light. It should be a little bit higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra 200 grams of dry malt and 200 grams of dextrose, which will get this up to about somewhere around 4.2% in the bottle. So it's still lightish, but it's not really pulling it right back into that mid category, and it shouldn't have too much impact on the overall flavour. It's not really much difference to what they're stating. Where the difference is going to come from the yeast. Now I'm not using the kit yeast. We knew that was going to be what happened, but I've got these two. Yeah, so this is going to be splitting this. So I've got the Lowell Brew London and Lowell Brew Nottingham. So 2 English yeasts. I'm going to split these, and we'll see what difference it makes. I'm going to brew at 18 degrees, and it's going to be a full packet on half a brew, so basically 1 gram a litre, which is the pitching rate they recommend here is 0.5 to 1 gram a litre. So that's what we'll be using. So it's going to pitch them. It's going to pitch them dry. We'll be going into the corny kegs, fermenting with basically no pressure. I won't put any pressure on till good 4 or 5 days into the ferment, just so I can bring it up so I can get it actually carbonated out of the keg as per normal. So it's going to allow the yeast to do its thing and actually impart any of its esters or phenols or anything like that, any of its profile into the final beer. So I'll see you in 5 or 6 seconds, and we'll give this bugger a taste. Righto, time to get some tasting on these fellas. The bottle's in the right direction. This is the half that was fermented with the number 1 with the Nottingham, and number 2 on this side is with the London. Okay, that's fizzing a little bit more, which doesn't entirely surprise me. You'll understand why in a second. So, I said in the previous, I upped the light dry malt and the Dex by 200 grams of each, on top of the 500 grams which was recommended. And a part of that was to balance out to some degree. Well, it wasn't intentional, but it's worked well because it's balanced out the fact that because they've been pressure fermented, or at least allowed to carbonate under pressure in the fermenter, that no bottle priming, so we're missing 0.4, 0.5% of potential ABV, which is pretty much what the kit brewers, like in this case Coopers, are expecting you to do. They're expecting that you're going to bottle prime your beer. So they're allowing for that 0.5% when they sort of formulate the recipe they expect you to use. But in this case, Nottingham's finished at 10.12 after the original gravity of 10.38, and the London's finished at 10.13. Now, and this is why I think this is a little bit gassy. I think it's probably had just a little bit more fermentation in the bottle. Just a little bit, because I really thought that the London would have finished possibly a little bit lower than the Nottingham, but not a biggie either way. But what it does mean is that we're looking at 3.4, 3.3% in the bottle, and that's with that extra. So if we didn't have that extra, we'd be under 3%. We're already at that 3% mark. Now, I get that if you're doing a English mid, that's probably fine. But these aren't touted, they're not touted as a mid, it's touted as a bitter, which should be, realistically, in that 4 to 4.5% range. They're generally not as, they're certainly generally not down around that 3% mark, and even mids are generally in the lowish threes. But anyway, these have been finished now for, might as well say 2 months. It's 15th of October these were bottles. It's now the 13th of December. So let's call it 2 months, 8 weeks. We're finishing up. They're nice and clear. Okay, it's a very sweetish note, that fruity note that's very I associate with kit twang. I don't know whether it's exactly attached to the kit twang, but it does for me. it's a history of repeated brews where that smell is normally followed up by some pretty obvious kick twang. So they're carbonated reasonably well. These are non-carbonated glasses, both of these. Non-nucleated, so they're not stirring up any excess carbonation. So they're a bit on the lightish side, but certainly adequate for the style. Okay, that fruity nose is not quite as strong in the London. There's a bit of kick twang there, but it's not a massive amount, but I can just see it's just going to roll on and just increase as you go. But okay, the London's lighter bodied. It's quite a lot. It's much more gassy. Despite the fact it's not really carbonating off anymore, but you saw from the pour there was more gas in the pour, and I said I think it's possibly continued to ferment a little bit in the bottle, maybe an extra point or two from when it was bottled, which is creating that. So it gives it a weird. It's got quite a bite to it, though it's a bit thinner bodied. But there's just a twang sitting in these, something shocking. Yeah, well, they're both fucking ordinary. I mean ordinary. I certainly hope I haven't given any of these to the Brotheries yet, because if I haven't, I certainly won't be giving it to him, because that's fucking terrible. That is up there, one of the worst kit beers I've ever, well, flat out is one of the worst beers I've ever tasted. Yeah, there's not a single thing good about it. I can't even imagine where you would start to try and make that better. Because that amount of twang underneath that, I just don't see how you can possibly fucking hide that, and I don't know why you'd want to try to fucking take that and cover it up when you can make it easier. So, pardon me. Coopers, again, just really letting the whole extract thing down. I'm having trouble finding a decent Coopers brew. We will continue. We will continue. There has not been a lot of Coopers as yet in this run of the Extractaganza. This was possibly the first Coopers. It is. This is the first Coopers in. Actually, yeah, I've got a Coopers on at the moment. But this is very much reminiscent of what I've had experienced in the past with Coopers. Quite savage twang. And I've discussed with previous brews till now, the Morgans, the Black Rock. Most of those beers have been reasonably drinkable. They've been half decent. But twang is nowhere near as noticeable. So I don't know whether it's just a Cooper's thing. I don't know what it is, but they seem to be more noticeable. But the biggest thing is, this is what's led me to some degree, this whole, how bullshit this beer is. It's what's led me to the improvements that I've talked about recently and changing up how I'm going about Extractaganza, and that starts from the next brew. The next one will be next brew that will be getting tasted, and that's where I'm amping up, taking that kit and improving it, adding to it and making it better, and trying to make a decent beer out of the kit base. Still doing the kit to get that yardstick and see how the actual kits are. So I said I'm learning a lot, because there's a lot of these kits that I've not used. I said, like the Morgans, the Mango Jacks, even the Black Rock, and the ESB kits. This is all new stuff for me, so it's still going to continue with that heart, because it's worthwhile to see how they are, because some of these kits aren't too bad, and it's certainly something you can work from. But yeah, it certainly shows that you need to really go into a kit with no great expectation. When you find something that's good, and work with it. When you don't, fucking throw it away, like I'm going to do with these two. So anyway, that's guys, that's me. I can't do any more. I can't give that. That's the first one. It's the first one. 1 out of 5 for both of them. Has just, well, even the fucking yeast hasn't done anything to help them. I can't imagine that using the kit yeast would have fucking made any friggin' difference. But I am bloody upset. I'm not upset. I'm a bit surprised. I've seen people who rave on about how good this, what a good kit this is and what a good beer it makes. I don't know. I'd really like to be able to say, well, maybe it's something I'm doing. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But I've knocked out a couple of kits that have been decent. Raw grain brews are fine. Extract brews are fine. It's just the kits. So it's not my bloody yeast methods or my bloody fermentation profiles. Or my gear, because that gear makes decent beer with other methods. So it's clearly the kits. Anyway, if you got any comments and questions, stick them down the bottom. Cooper's English Bitter. Thumbs down. Don't fuck them. Don't waste your time with it. Absolute rubbish. But anyway, I'm out of here. I'm going to tip these glasses out and fucking try and find something decent to drink. Wash my mouth out. Next taster will be the Mangrove Jack's Irish Stout, which, as I said, is the first of the split batches. I've split that one and done a boosted up version. So I'm pretty sure I did a separate video of that on the channel, but I'll be rolling the tasting in together. So anyway, so that's coming. But till I see you again in the next video, guys, cheers, good brewing.